Hello, and welcome back to Marvel Puzzle Quest with me, P.I. McLeod. We're here on day 4186. We're here to crash a Titan, as it were. One Titan. He hasn't had a Titan to crash yet. At least not by my records. I could be wrong. Once in a blue moon I miss out on these crashes. There it is, one single node against Bishop. Bishop came in MPQ years ago. But he's not super old. He's not Jean Grey or Ant-Man old. When Bishop came in MPQ, he shook the game foundation. For a good while, he was considered so broken, all the players had to yell and scream until they fixed him. And by fix, we mean nerfed into the ground. When someone gets nerfed, they get buried. It generally is how it works. Old Man Logan, Gambit, Worthy Captain Sidewinder is a recent victim, if you didn't know. So anyways, Bishop came into the game with a really groundbreaking passive back then. Now, we're not talking about nowadays. What he did come in with was his ability when someone got hit for X amount percentage of their health, any 5-star character, even Wasp, as bad as she is, would hit your team. Your Bishop says, "Nah, that's not cool. Here's a ton of blue AP for your troubles, sir." And you would have so much blue AP by the end of turn 1 that you could just stun lock the entire enemy team with someone like, oh, I don't know, Polaris. You get what I'm saying? Just anyone that uses blue stuns could just say goodnight to them. Now, of course, this was pre-Chasm. First turn stuns weren't a thing then, but Bishop made it possible for that to happen with blue users because of all the blue AP he would generate. The rest of his kit, no one cared about. I think overclocked, his red is still almost the same as it was. There might be some minor tweaks to it. What matters is they nerfed him into the ground because 5-star players couldn't get around this 4-star character. This 4-star character was so good that they couldn't fathom how to get around it. If you were a 5-star player, you had to play down a level against Bishops to even have a chance. And that wasn't fair to them because, quite frankly, even if you paid for those characters or if you grinded for them, you're basically saying that, hey, all your time and or money investment doesn't mean a thing because this new character now exists. Nowadays, this is what Bishop does. Let's walk through this. The red one, overclocked, puts out a countdown, and while that countdown exists, whenever an enemy is going to hit anyone else in your team, Bishop will jump to the front, take the hit, and he stores that hit, all the damage he took. He also stores it in this battery reserve, okay? He still takes the damage. He doesn't lessen it at all, but he stores that number. And after the countdown actually completes, he releases all that damage he stored, and it's multiplied by a % based on how high you put his red. It deals some devastating damage. You kind of want him in front, though. His red isn't about the damage output, because really, if you're going to wait 3 to 4 turns for damage output, it's not worth it in this game anymore, right? His red is about putting him in front. In front is a good thing for him, because his blue has a passive that says if he's in front at the start of a turn, he creates a projectile. He just generates one. If he's in front at the start of the turn, he also generates 1 blue AP. Free blue AP. I mean, it's just 1, but it's free for doing nothing but just sitting in the front. And you get that projectile, too. Sounds like good Beta Ray Bill stuff, right? More blue AP, more projectiles. Yeah, Polaris likes it. There's a lot of characters that work good with this, but it is only 1 per turn. So let's not get crazy, right? His blue also states as a passive that when you get to 8+, it reverts to this other version that allows him to use his 8 blue AP as, I want to say, a 3-turn stun. And then, obviously, if it goes below 8 blue AP, then it goes back to its passive form. So he can't use his stun until he gets to 8 blue or higher. And it's only a 3-turn, not a 4-turn like some of our current peoples. So, kind of lackluster. But the point of generating blue AP and generating protects is notable. Finally, here's the point where I like to use Bishop if you want to abuse this properly. His yellow. His yellow, Fight for the Future, it costs 10 to use it as an active. And all it does is it converts a yellow tile, I want to say an enemy tile. That's not the point. We could look at it when we get into the fight. The point is the passive part of it. If you have I want to say it's 8 or more friendly protects on the screen at the start of your turn, he turns a bunch of them and creates blue basic tiles. So a lot of your protects go away because they turn into blue basics, but plus a bunch more. He also turns other tiles into blue basic tiles. That generates a lot of cascades, a lot of damage potentially, but more importantly, a lot of blue. Now you have a ton of blue AP. You can go blue crazy on someone. A lot of stuns or other shenanigans, if you will. As long as you can recreate friendly projectiles reliably, you have a blue AP engine because of Bishop. Now, of course, you need to have your ways to create projectiles that often. Bishop himself only makes 1 per turn for being in front. I'm sure you can think of other ways and other characters to abuse that, though. Black King is going to neuter some of the best things about Bishop. Let's dive into what Black King does. Black King came into MPQ only a few years back. He came in with the ability that basically like a new age Bishop. He can absorb damage and fire it back at the enemy like Bishop should. Yeah, Black King does this passively, how it should be. Kinetic Negotiation. As a passive, he takes 50% less damage, storing 30% of the reduced damage as increased base match damage. He takes half of the damage coming in, and then of that half, 30% of that reduced damage is stored as extra match damage. Yes, it just goes right on top of your current match damage. It's easy math, and you can look at the character stats and see it actually working. It's kind of one of the nice things about him is you actually can see the math in the engine working if you click into him and see his numbers. Whenever Black King deals match damage, reduce his stored damage by 50%. So he doesn't just keep it, he uses it. He spends it like a resource. That kind of makes sense for the character. He doesn't keep all that stuff forever and ever. He expends it. He only expends it half of it at a time. It's going to be hard to get rid of that extra stored damage because as long as he just keeps matching and getting hit, it's going to keep building. Capital Gains is his next ability, the purple. For just 3, drain up to 17 random AP. Now it literally means random, okay? Across your AP pools, red, blue, black, whatever, okay? Drain 17 random, and that's on top of the 3 purple you spend. So this could deplete your AP stores by 20. It stores 104 at my level, which is 370, mind you. Increased base match damage for each AP spent. So like just 10 random AP being spent is, 1,040 extra base match damage. That's a lot. That's a big number. That's 5-star numbers. And he's only a 4-star character. And he did it by just spending some of the AP you had on hand. And remember, when he does match damage, he only loses half of his potency with each match. So even though he's hitting really hard on that first one, the second one's still pretty beefy. And for a passive, at the beginning of Black King's turn, convert up to 5 charge tiles to basic tiles, increasing stored base match damage by the same amount for each. Then depower all enemy strike, attack, and protect tiles by 50%, storing half of that reduced strength as increased base match damage. That goes on top of whatever he's already drained for using Capital Gains or whatever he's gained for his black passive. There's a lot of gain for this character. There's a lot he does. Honestly, I'll use a 5-star character for my heavy hitter, which is almost a moot point, but I'll put Black King in to fight against a Mighty Thor team because that just neuters Mighty Thor's abilities right then and there. He's pretty good. I wouldn't ignore him. And then finally, 1 to you, sir. I'll put up to 5 for green. I'm not saying this is a bad ability. I don't have it down to 3 because it's horrible. This is just personal preference here. 1 to you, sir, costs 6 green. Black King expends all of his stored match damage to deal 1,050% of his average base match damage to the target. 1,050% of your average base. Did you see all the numbers we reap when we're using him? All the power he can get? Yes, you could technically use Capital Gains and drive up all of your match damage as high as you can. And if you still had 6 green left, spend this, and then even at level 3, 525% of your average base match damage would be pretty big at that point. The reason I have this down to 3 is because honestly I like him as a passive damage dealer. Just doing match damage, soaking up damage, that's it. The only time I would ever put on this one deucer up to a 5 is if I really am banking on him being someone in the back behind someone else. I would probably lower capital gains down to 3. He'd be in the background, he'd be absorbing charge tiles from Mighty Thor or someone else, and then at one point I could just spend it as a big old kablooey and just, you know, hit someone in the face with it as power damage. Note that this says it expends the stored match damage to deal that amount of damage to a target. That's a power. That's not match damage. Even though it's expending match damage, that's a power. So in other words, Okoye, Apocalypse, Wanda, Emma, they could boost that number. Remember how Emma says 70% more damage? Yeah, you could add another 70% on top of whatever this is. Just saying. He's pretty darn good. Does depower count as destroy for the event tasks? No, it does not. It just touches them and brings down their numbers. It does not count as destruction. Sorry about that, John. Okay. To touch on what Joe on YouTube asked or stated here a moment ago, he was stunning me left and right, he said, when he started the fight. May I suggest, if you have it, do you have a Hellfire Club? Because if you have a Hellfire Club, his synergy perk, he's one of the Hellfire Club members. The first time in the battle that the supported character is stunned, they turn invisible for the number of turns that they would have been stunned instead. So yes, equip your Hellfire Club. If Bishop's giving you problems, 3 turns of stun? Nah, how about 3 turns of invisibility, Bishop? You're not doing anything to me. Bishop doesn't have any team hitting abilities. He doesn't have any way to get rid of that invisibility tile outside of luck. Just throw on the Hellfire Club. Your first stun's free. No problems, right? If you don't have a Hellfire Club, or at least it's not functional enough for you, obviously you could always fall back on the good old Eros' arrow. In a one-on-one fight, there's almost nothing anyone can do to reduce that except for get lucky over and over again and remove that arrow every time, but it doesn't happen like that. This is assuming you at least have a few covers in Black King and you've leveled them up a little bit at least. Anyways, for the point of this battle, I'm going to use my 324 Black King because, you know, it'd be fun to not see a complete blowout right off the rip. We don't want to support on it. We want to have the full fight go as it should be. Let's get into it. We got it. Black King versus Bishop, round 1, or final round? Fight. Look at these guys. They both put their hands up in front like we're gonna fisticuffs, which, you know, that probably wouldn't happen like that. We want all the AP we can get, right? Because really at the end of the day, the best way to get damage done is to get a bunch of AP and then at least 3 purple and then spend that AP with that purple and just lay hands on them, right? Right. I almost forgot. We said we'd look at Bishop's yellow. 10 yellow for the future, like I stated. Converts 1 enemy special to a big ol' strength friendly protect tile. That's all it does. Just gets rid of one of your tiles, makes it into a friendly protect. Obviously we know what his protects do. That is good for him, but it's just one of your tiles and it costs 10 for him to use it actively. Everything else is really what we'd be more scared of here. You know, like it says at the bottom there, if there are 6 or more friendly projectiles on the board at the start of the turn, convert 2 friendly projectiles and 5 basics to blue basics. So that's this version of Bishop. Yours may vary. Okay, let's get into it. I'm going to grab this green and red combo over here. We'll see if we could use enough green to get that animation to show too. See, we just depowered that protect. It does 46 now instead of whatever it was doing before. Let's get another green because we can cast that for the animation. Now this one is down to 23. See, it keeps lessening it over and over again. Black King is working on that. And this one's at 46. Because, of course, the enemy bishop is in front. So he's making projectiles every turn. You want to see what the damage is right now? We're at 272, 257, 244. It's not astonishing numbers, but he is a 4-star, mind you. Bishop's only sitting here at less than 100 on everything. So Black King is definitely a powerhouse just right here. And I'm only using my 324 version. Let's do this for funsies. Expends all his stored match damage to deal 525% of his average base match damage to the target. So, here we go. Boom! It could do a lot more if you pump that number up, and you understand exactly what I'm saying. We put that green up to 5, we maybe use the purple to get a bunch more match damage stored, but we didn't want to end this fight that quickly, did we? Okay, here we go. Might be good enough, Mark. I think it would be. Black King is only 7 colors. I think you could do it. Mark, I think you could do that, man. 7 covers? I think you could do it. Put the ice, make sure you're ISO'd up. Put on a good support like we've already talked about. And I think you have it. Okay, now he's overclocked. This could hurt if he gets it off. So just to reiterate, destroy this within 3 turns to stop an enemy attack. He deals 100% of the damage he took while the countdown was on the board to the target. So he's going to take damage and store it in that countdown. I'm going to use this, but once I get 17 AP to spend. I only have 11 red, 1 yellow, 4 purple, and I don't know if team up counts. It might. I think it does, but you know what? I never really thought about that. I'll have to look at that. Let's get this black tile down here because I want to see if we can get rid of that countdown as soon as we can. And there's the stun. On the positive note, at least we're stunned so we're not doing damage to him and increasing his overclocked. Are you done over there having your fit, Bishop? Because seriously, you're still less than half our health. Do I take the match 4? I think I do. Yeah, just for the AP count, right? I would get rid of the protects. I might get rid of him now. I don't want him to make a bunch of blues and be annoying. I was thinking about not getting rid of them, but at the end of the day, we kind of don't want a ton of blue tiles out there just for him, right? Oh, we have enough, by the way, too. Let's do it. Capital gains. There goes a lot of AP. Oh, look at that damage. 1618 black, 1603 purple, 1590 green. Even the low colors like yellow and blue and red, over 1500. Dude's sitting pretty high on that ivory tower right now. Let's make sure he doesn't get to 6 projectiles. So I'll just match this one away. Yeah, he's not getting there when he's dead, is he? Oops. We could have matched it any other way and not killed him, but you know, habits die hard with cascades and all that. That's Black King in a nutshell. Just pay attention to your numbers, all your AP stuff. If he is going to be utilized as your big match damage person, you want to make sure to have enough AP to make spending that purple worthwhile. Don't go ahead and spend it when you just have 3 purple and barely anything else in your reserve. If you're having trouble against Bishop or against anyone else with a stun, put on that Hellfire Club. He's not stunned first turn, is he? He's invisible. Not your problem anymore. I think you could do it. And that includes you, Mark. It took team up. Yeah, it did, John. I noticed that. That's it. That's Black King's Crash the Titans, and that's my lunch break. Thank you very much for joining me, everybody on YouTube. That includes Joe and Lavish. Thank you very much. John, Mark, thank you for joining me on the Twitch side, and anyone else sitting there lurking that I'm not seeing. Thank you once again. I'll talk to you all later. Have a good one. Bye.